I'd like to call upon Mr. Evan Walker, Lead Pre-Construction and Project Controls, Turner India, accompanied by Mr. Prasannamurti Desai, Vice President Landscape, Bangalore International Airport. Mr. Evan has been with Turner India for over 15 years, working across multiple market sectors and project types. He heads the Project Controls Department on the Kempegowda International Airport, and also leads the BMI estimation group that supports Turner's teams across the globe. With his diverse and intensive background, delivering pre-construction, project controls, and BMI services, he has delivered in-depth and reliable pre-construction services demanded by unique and complex projects. Coming to Mr. Prasannamurti Desai, an experienced landscape horticulture professional with over 24 years of experience. He is currently heading Bangalore International Airport's landscape department and spearheading the landscape development themed around the terminal in the garden for the largest airport expansion infrastructure development of the country. Today, Mr. Walker and Mr. Desai will speak on bringing nature into the airport built environment. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. I'd just like to share my screen. Please, if you can let me know if it's visible.
Yes, it is.
Great, thank you. So I think before we dive in, I think just like for any design, architectural solution, the first thing that's important is to understand what the problem is before you can come up with any type of built solution for that, and along with understanding the context of the area that's being served. So for us here in Bangalore, the context is Bangalore is known as the Garden City. It's part of its heritage in terms of lush parks, lush gardens throughout the city. Further to that, the state of Karnataka is home to many wildlife reserves. We have a lot of ancient architectural wonders within it. So understanding the broader context in terms of the community that we're serving, the people that will be using our airport was a major consideration in terms of what was gonna, or what were we going to incorporate into the overall terminal design for Terminal 2. Additionally, coming to what problem are we solving? So fundamentally, of course, we're mass transit in a lot of cases, right? I think in some of the Q&As I was talking about, hey, there's a lot of ways we're competing against trains, bus depots, et cetera. So first and fundamentally, how do we provide a space, a covered, sheltered space, so people don't get wet, people aren't too hot, too cold, et cetera, so that they can catch their next flight. But to that, and then there was one of these other questions in the Q&A where it talked about even in new airport terminals, we have these bottlenecks and we have these long queues, long lines, and during peak times, and every terminal is designed for a peak capacity. Airports can be frenzied environments, and that's not a desired state by any means, but it's a practical challenge. So what do we do to try and offset some of that? And I thought this was interesting, and I've seen a variety of surveys, and I think any of us that have traveled, we've felt this. But the survey by this company CPP of British travelers, 33% found the airport experience more stressful than the working week. Right, so 33%, one in three people said going to the airport is more stressful than work, and 25% found it more stressful than moving. Right, and for those of us that have moved, I think we can all attest it's a pretty stressful experience. So understanding that can occur, what can we do to ideally limit the bottlenecks so that we don't have this type of a frenzied environment? But also, what can we do to help relax, calm, in our social responsibility? In the case of Bangalore Airport, it's a PPP. So Kia has been entrusted with this responsibility of serving Bangalore and the larger community. So what can we do to help alleviate some of that stress? And then there's the practical business case, which is to be made that if we can create an environment that is welcoming, that is calming, there's also a corollary in terms of a higher passenger spend. And that's something that has to be thought through when coming up with any type of an airport design, because obviously, like any business, we're looking for opportunities in which that we can improve revenue. So, when we look at solutions, you know, in terms of how we can limit stress, how can we improve the mood of our passengers, and create an environment, you know, there's items that are outside the control, you know, of an airport. So take, for instance, you know, the things that we can control in terms of how we can improve contactless travel, such as the introduction of e-gates, self-bag drops, all that we're doing in terms of how we can streamline and move people through immigration, through security. But, you know, the reality is airline delays still occur, and it happens for a variety of reasons. Departing airports have too much backup, weather situations, aircraft, you know, maintenance issues, unexpected. So there's a variety of factors that are outside influencers in terms of the ability to move passengers through. So understanding, you know, you have to know what you can't control, understanding those things. And so what can we control? Well, we can control the space, and we can create an environment where, okay, your flight's delayed, but let's create a space in which there's other things and options that you can do, and at least you can enjoy passing the time in this environment. So for us, a big part of that was looking to nature. And so what we're going to do is talk to you a bit through what we're doing here at Bangalore. We focus primarily on Terminal 2. Frankly speaking, there's a lot of tremendous things that are being done from the campus at a bigger glance to help address this. So from this, my colleague Prasanna, I'm going to have him talk through some of these points.
Some of you might have already experienced the experience of going through this terminal since last 15 years. The first and foremost thing what is striking is about the landscape in the journey from the city towards the airport, as well as from the airport towards the city, was a benchmark for all of us in terms of a very beautifully articulated landscape. Currently, we went through the expansion of the roads, so we have to take out all those earlier landscape. The first and foremost challenge for all of us was how to save what we had as a wealth. So we literally, the whole episode started with saving nearly 7,800 large 15 to 20-year-old grown trees, so that they can come back and form my, major landscape element what we are going to experience in next 12 to 14 months. They will be the assets what we will be utilizing. They are major assets what are going to be transplanted them. We kept them in the containers. Now they are coming back to their original position after 2.5 years of being in the contained atmosphere. How the things are unfolding is nearly 175 acres of pure landscape, nearly 12 acres of interior landscape, and rest of it is all a driving experience through this beautifully planned airport. This airport is built on 4 principles what Ivan was referring to. It's on art and culture and rich heritage of Karnataka. Second was the terminal in the garden. That terminal in the garden came to the mind of architect while they were designing it by virtue of incorporating the 2 large forest what we inherit, the oldest forest what we inherit in the world. They are called as Gondwana. The Eastern Ghats and the Western Ghats were the major influence and the rocky formation of Bangalore. Bangalore is one city which is never had a perennial source of water. So this garden city was built on only the lakes. So if you look at the entire airport development, you will see 2 major colors. One is blue, other one is green. So we are harvesting each and every drop what falls on our 4,000-acre campus. So we have large lakes built on a typical principle of sustainability. The same water will be reused for our drinking as well as a garden irrigation purpose. Secondly, what we are looking at is we saved the top 6 inches soil. That's one of the precious commodity which is ignored while we are developing the larger landscape or an infrastructure projects. That's an asset which has been inherited by any project. You need to save that thing so that the developments are sustainable for all of us. Third, in terms of whatever the plant material what you have in campus, whether you are redeveloping or whether you are having inbuilt, you can store them and reuse them. Why I am emphasizing all 3 points is there are major questions in terms of landscape. It comes to Indian mind. What is the cost? How do we integrate green into the things? Whether it will be sustainable. So it will be definitely sustainable if you plan prior. We planned nearly 3.5 years back what we wanted to do. The way we progressed is in terms of looking at what works well for us. Every city in India nearly hosts around 27 different agroclimatic zones. So make sure wherever you're planning, wherever you're building, that applies to the entire world. We all work on a standard British standard or maybe US standards in terms of climatic zones. That all applies to all of us, nearly 12 to 15 agroclimatic zones majorly, whether we work in Asia or in any other continent. So we partially fit in a zone which is more than 9A, 9B, and we can range up to 11. That's almost like an arid climate. So south of Bangalore is completely in the zone of 8 to 9. 8 to 9 is very moderate temperatures. When it comes to the north of Bangalore, where our airport sits in, we actually range from a 10B to 11A. It's a completely arid. The whole scenario changes. The aspect of Kaveri hits only to the Bangalore city. For us, we need to generate our own Kaveri. So we started with planning of generating our own water, which is from the roads as well as the entire campus runoff, as well as the runoff collected from the rainfall runoff. So we started saving the water. Second aspect was we wanted to utilize available resource smartly. How these places can be sustainable, you need to use materials which is sustainable and local. So is the local granite as a flooring, and so is the basic material bamboo as the ceiling. So when you walk in, you will walk into the nature. You will not walk into different aspects here. When you look at it, what influenced us? Why can't we look at greening the whole ceiling? So the idea of you will be walking below 500 hanging systems which are of different size and shape. Smallest of the small will be around 2 meter size by 2.5 meter height. We are talking about 400,000 plants in a captive environment. It will be questionable again. Will it be sustainable? Yeah, it is sustainable, provided you need to select the plants which are suitable for that light factor. When we talk about landscape in the built environment, in the indoors, the major criteria what you need to look after is the light quality. So until unless there is light, there will be no photosynthesis. So you need to be very careful. Look at the right-hand side image. Left-hand side bottom is what architects envisaged. Right-hand side image is what we delivered. So every bell and the veil system, what we are talking about, is all placed below a clear glass environment where we get a complete sunlight for at least 3 to 4 hours in a day. So we have carefully curated and selected the plants which are suitable, which can photosynthesize food, prepare their food for in 4 hours. They are happy, they are beautiful, they serve a purpose of relaxing you, they serve a purpose of creating that ambience where you will be lost. So literally, I might have to write a signage on a flooring that watch your foot, please look down. So that will be a kind of experience when you enter to the airport in the departure level. The moment once you cross the departure level, you will end up into different experience zones. So once you cross, I'll go one by one. The sunken garden is an area where the moment you cross to the after your check-in, you come to, after a pausing area, you come to a place where you will be doing a lot of shopping areas. So not only you're doing shopping, if you're not doing shopping, I'll keep you engaged in a place where you have a lot of water features to look after. You're looking at monumental trees collected from throughout the world. This is first of its kind in an airport which is built around the landscape in India. So we wanted it to be very aspirational. At times you might question me, will that be affordable? Yes, it is affordable, provided you plan prior, you know what you wanted to do and how do you want it to do. The basic principles what drove to us is we wanted to be an inclusive airport. We wanted to be an intense airport in terms of landscape. We wanted it to be a memorable experience. Memorable experience, they don't come just as long. Once you complete your boarding process, you come and halt at a place called as Orientation Garden, where you see the Dracena dracos, the old world plants, which are as old as your Gondwana forest. These are basically from the Canary Islands and Galapagos Islands. They have been collected and grown in proper areas. These things are got utilized. We wanted to create the entire indoor space as an experience to the passenger who's flying for the first time. Major Indian crowd is flying around. People who are flying should have an experience of knowing the Mediterranean garden, Mediterranean planting stuff. Yeah, believe me, in last 25 years of my career, even for me also, these were like stunning. We have never seen such planting material. The idea was to introduce these things to in a captive area where it's carefully planted, carefully preserved, carefully taken care for next whatever the years they are going to live in. So they are legendary. This is an experience while you are walking in to the airport. That's why I will write a letter. I will write a signage on the flooring. Please watch your steps. Don't look above. You also need to look at your steps. There is nearly 500 or 600 hanging gardens holding 4.5 lakh plants. Half a kilometer of green wall. Nearly 400 to 4,000 different variants of plants. We wanted to bring in a character of Karnataka, so as we introduced the element of laterite stones. The coastal Karnataka always holds known for red laterite stones. So we created laterite stones. Karnataka is known for large waterfall in India, Joga. So we influenced by those largest waterfall. We have a 17-meter waterfall indoors, near 7-meter waterfalls other places, some 33 different side shape these laterite walls, waterfalls, water features, nearly 4,600 different taxa, 300 different flowering plants, nearly 1.5 crore different variant plants to look at. This will be a mesmerizing place to walk in. And the first, last, but not the least, we literally went to the forest. We wanted it to be a place to remember for the next generations to come. The idea was to preserve. Idea was to conserve. We wanted to make this as a biodiversity habitat.
Yeah, Mr. Prasanna, hello. We are running short of time. We have hardly few minutes left to conclude.
No, I'm literally at the last slide in terms of making an experience. So it will be a biodiversity hotspot in the long run. I leave it to Ivan just to conclude the thing.
So, there were many things driving this decision. The thing that fundamentally too that we recognize from a sustainability perspective, as well as that, as Prasanna mentioned, harvesting water on site on the campus. So we're actually, the goal is that right now we're water neutral. We want to actually be water positive. The in terms of also using our own solar panels for on-site electricity harvesting. But fundamentally, it's just to create this experience for men, women, and children as they go through this airport environment to connect again with nature. Thank you.